Okay.
Oh dear, I seem to have lost it at the moment. Sorry, it's up on my screen.
Okay, we're recording now. So welcome to the Earth Nouveau team and to our free Zoom on a Wednesday afternoon. And today we're gonna do one of the emotional clearing and healing marbles. That's what I'm calling them, which is related to anger, fury, hate, frustration, and that whole shebang here. So we're gonna read the document, which will also be on your on the website afterwards, and then we see what comes up. So if we have anyone who wants to start reading the first page, then do let me know.
Yeah, I don't mind reading it if I could just find it again. I had it, Martina, and I seem to have lost it.
Okay, so anyone who can find it?
I'll give it a go.
Give it a go.
Can you hear me? Hi.
You are Caroline. Okay, yes. Caroline, just do me a favor. Let's not do the breathing. You can do this in your own time when you do it, because it's a meditation type thing. So okay. It's too much to explain this breathing thing. You can read it. So let's leave that out and go straight to number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Let's record.
Record it in your own voice and listen whilst the Nadi Shodhana breathing exercise. I, in this ever-present moment of now, summon all my DNA ancestors of the past, present, and future, my angelic guardians and guides, my soul brothers and sisters, to hold space and bear witness to my declaration and demand on myself to defortify any walls of false protection, to let go of any weapons of self-destructions, to fortify my reality, reinforce clear and healthy boundaries, to dream the new dream of peace, of wealth, and happiness. I herewith ask the universal quantum entanglements to support my request for joyful creation with ease, of balanced health, ever-growing wealth, and inspired co-creation to the best and highest good for me and mankind. I now acknowledge the daily synchronicities and mystical experiences assisting me to explore and expand my awareness manifold, as well as assist me in making infinite possibilities manifest beyond my wildest imagination. I spit out the lies of mass distraction, spoken or unspoken, everything I bought and sold and made real for me that actually isn't, which will give me clarity to make infinite possibilities manifest beyond my wildest imagination. As I start choosing for me and as me, I perceive, know, be, and receive the contributions to my highest spiritual evolution within this global dream time awakening and start having experiences full of richness and joy. I now let go of any frustrations, irritations, and limitations that keep me stuck in this global narrative of misconception to step into my sovereignty and signature frequency of the healed healer and potent co-creator. Want me to go on?
I can take it from there.
Okay.
I herewith alchemize the sour taste of anger and mistrust in my mouth and turn all depression and regression into creation, inspiration, and dreams. I, in this ever-present moment of now, claim back every moment of rage I have ever had, every word in vengeance I have ever spoken or written. I reduce to 0 minus infinity the charge and polarity, so I may return to my sacred neutral balance. All energy of rage stored inside me, I now transmute and transform into positive inspiration, creations, and dreams. All angry energy that has been seeping into my liver and pericardium through tacit consent and lack of boundaries over eons of time, I now become a magical practitioner for myself to unravel the rage weave so that I don't have to sit in it every day. I reach into all corners in my home and body to pull off the energy from all the negative webs that I created and clear them with my imaginary sage stick, rage as love gone awry. where two people who don't know how to function together, even though they are both choosing a form of love that has turned into a form of distortion. I herewith clear out all these distortions from my liver, my heart, my pericardium, my every cell of my body and my environment. Every rage choice that I have ever chosen for not being heard, whilst religion, government, media, or any other authority was stifling my authentic knowingness, I now transform and transmute it, destroy and uncreate it. I herewith claim my part of living the singularity as a duality here in this realm. I acknowledge the harshness of this place so that I pull myself up by my bootstraps and make something valuable and meaningful to the memories that I am creating to make legacy for the ancient soul inside me. I pull back all of my I am selves from the trenches of all the eradicated selves and give them healing and choice to move on to wherever they choose to. I herewith listen to the native bloodline telling me to make a lasting legacy or get the hell out of the lineage as way of getting me to step into my potency or becoming a grand master of sacred communication with the blood ancestors living and non-living. As I claim the amount of anger inside me, I have to acknowledge all the implants on and off world and destroy and uncreate them. I just want to change the page if anyone wants to take over from there.
Does anyone want to take over?
I can read. I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I claim the amounts of anger in me. I have acknowledged all the implants on and off world and destroy and uncreate them. I also claim any and all the amounts of anger that I have taken on into my being from others through empathetic entanglement or ignorance and unawareness. I now transmute and send it back, including the electromagnetic imprinting to whence it came from, for never to return to this body, this environment again, and close all the portals to it. All oaths, vows, agreements, entangled cords that I have, any raged entities, demons, ghosts, shadow parts and aspects that taunt, ridicule, judge, anger, infuriate, mock, provoke, insult, tease and torment, I now revoke, recant, rescind, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate. I herewith now demand all demons associated with the anger, rage, fury, and hate in me and my environment that I lock into my life and create sacred order with, to free themselves, return, and never come back to this reality again. I willingly take on the mantle of responsibility to change my rage and choose to transform and transmute it into love and compassion for self and all sentient kind. In full awareness, I receive the great reckoning of my ancestors' judgments for doing so that opens up a whole new level of ancestral communication and soul shard communication when I end this rage at the deepest core and stop allowing love to be the healer of rage, age, ancestral and soul families in the fifth world of peace. Everywhere I refuse to step into my true authentic potency, where I choose repressed enthusiasm over inspiration, passion and dreams, I now destroy and uncreate all the decisions, judgments, conclusions, computations, projections, and expectations leading me to this refusal. All the stupidity and incarcerations that I'm using to control something and somebody, where I am more invested in judging than in change, I now transform into clarity, wisdom, joyful bliss of inner authentic knowing. Whatever I've made so significant in finding beauty and kindness in others, in serving others' egos to the detriment of my own assets, gifts, dreams, and desires, I now claim back my powers, my boundaries of authorities and integrity, and clear and cleanse the darkened waters of creation. As I fully claim back my trust to self in all its glory, I flush my liver, the pipes of anger, the rage with bleach, and offer sacred gifts in gratitude for the return of my wholeness to fully participate again in this existence through clarity, transformation, and creation. I herewith declare that I am no longer available for signature frequency, and herewith proliferate my levels of unconsciousness to fully restore every sovereign being, in every sovereign fiber in my being, every cell in my DNA instrument, to seek and find remedy and resolve of all toxic karma entanglement with all sentient kind. I am myself unified in this message of separation of densities of anger, fury, and rage. I now choose whatever potency I have been refusing and create and manifest my harmonized and balanced life equations from my own source connection to a great mystery. I now enter this declaration into the Akashic records of all sentient kind to witness, understand that our freedom comes from the use of free will at all times. And so it is. Aho.
And so it is. Aho. Aho. Who else is hot?
Yeah.
So hot. Let's just take that energy and just whoa, let it go. Just do a bit of that, you know, just whoa. So hot, whatever that is, we don't necessarily need to know. But it's all that electromagnetic imprinting from any of the anger that we used to, you know, carry within ourselves and probably still do. And it's not even ours. And that's the main thing. It's not even ours. You know, just remind yourself of that. How did you feel about this?
Loved it.
Yeah.
It covered almost every angle, every facet you could look at about anger. And what I really liked about it was it brought up the misperceptions that we have about anger as being a negative thing, rather than just being an energy that will bring up something that needs transmuting. I mean, for example, you know, feeling overwhelmed is one thing that can actually turn into anger and create problems within relationships, because the other person thinks the anger is directed at them. I'm just using this as an example. But in fact, the person displaying the anger is the one who's feeling overwhelmed or in fear, or, you know, it's got so many angles, anger.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I chose anger. I mean, look, the other emotions, it's the same. You know, there's a lot of misidentification, misapplication, you know, of everything. And I look at everything as a positive, to be honest. Not from a, you know, blondie light worker, fake blondie light worker, you know, perspective, but actually from looking at it, so why would I create that? And what is actually behind that? And yes, I put a lot of that stuff in there. So thank you for that, Laura. What did anyone else, does anyone else want to say something to this?
The piece, Martina, where you wrote about love to dissolve anger, I thought using love, I thought that was really interesting. I think that we do that in a knowingness, actually, a lot of the time. We're not kind of aware that that's what we're doing.
There's this element in there, which when you actually read that part, which is the distortion of love.
Yes, yes.
You know, so what if anger is just a distortion of love? It just makes it, it gives it a different energy to look at, you know?
That's, yeah, that's interesting, because I was thinking about that even since our last Zoom, when we discussed love and what it was and what it wasn't. And we were kind of deciding that everything was love, but that the other things that happen, like anger and rage and frustration and hate or whatever, are just the other side of it. They're the distorted side of it. So yes, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Love gone awry.
Yes. Yes.
Because awry is not a word that I learned that, I don't know, a year ago. Because love gone awry, and I'm like, what is rah, what is this? Look it up. This is love gone awry. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cool actually, because it's true, you know.
Yes, it's a nice phrase.
And then it makes it a completely different type of way of looking at it, because then you can say, okay, so there was love before, and there will always be love as such, but what is that awry thingy, you know, and how can we overcome that, or not even overcome it? Okay, so this in itself is a limitation when we think that we have to overcome something.
What if it's a judgment, isn't it? It's a judgment.
What if we try to be that instead? Be that.
What if we can just let it go, destroy it? Because look at the effort level of overcoming something.
Yes.
Yeah, you either have to step over, I don't know, a wall like this. If you think of that, think of anger. When somebody says to you, that's actually a good one. When somebody says to you, you have to overcome your anger. Yeah. Now look at that from a metaphorical perspective. And now tell me, guys, what does that look like? Literally look like?
Effort, hard work.
For any of you?
Yeah.
Climbing.
Yeah.
And
it immediately brings up a sense of, you know, a huge task that you're going to have to achieve. And will I be able to do it? It brings up that question, you know, will we be able to do it? What if we can't?
And what does it look? I'm trying to get you to look at it.
It looks like climbing above an obstacle. And what I correlate it to is, I always think about this sentence, whatever you resist persists. And if you're trying to fight against your anger, you're giving more life to your anger. It's actually existing more. So the more you fight against it, even if it's an inner reaction, and actually it creates more frustration. So it even physically creates more anger to fight against your anger. And it frustrates you because you can't let it go. So you're fighting it more. And it's just like becomes this monster over it.
And then you got that thing, oh, you're not allowed to be angry. It's not spiritual to be angry. It's not a good girl if you're a good boy if you're angry. And it's so aggressive if you're angry and all that sort of bullshit. What you do, you start avoiding to express the anger. And as you start avoiding, just like Caroline just said, as you start avoiding it and expressing it, you are perpetrating it.
Yeah.
Simmering.
I came across a really lovely saying when I was going through some turmoil, and that's holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And that has helped me so many times, that saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, Linda. And how much of that anger is actually projected onto you, or you picking it up because of your empathic capacities that you have? Yeah. Yes. And we don't have to go into the lowest skill of, you know, psychic abilities with the empath. We talked about that before, but it's just really acknowledging that, you know, it doesn't even have to be projected at. It's almost like, I always say, you know, listen to what people say to you, because they're really only talking about themselves most of the times.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, really? You're giving away everything about you. You know, stop talking now if you really don't want me to know what's going on in your life. But I want to go back to Caroline. Yeah, Caroline, I want to use your example. I want to give you that example how you can work with a metaphor. Yeah, and that is another amazing technique that I have learned from another amazing guy called Andrew. Oh God, what's his name? Can't remember now. Doesn't matter. Caroline, would you like to play? So.
Sure.
In terms of anger, have you got something there when you look at your obstacle? Yeah. Can you explain to us, tell us a little bit about what that obstacle looks like with regards to your anger or frustration or impatience, whatever that is?
Oh, well, when you mentioned it, just visually, I saw like hedge.
A hedge, yeah.
So that you have to jump across. Obviously, I'm extremely athletic, so it's something that you just have to cut through it or just run away from it. But in my experience, it was always very repressed. I never had a right to express my anger, and I've got very angry parents. So it's something almost, I'm afraid of my anger to some degree. I'm taking it
Uh-huh.
and I'm taking the pollen on me, but it's it. See, I can't even talk about it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Now, let's do something here. I want you to just focus on your hedge, yeah?
Yeah.
And just describe your hedge a little bit to us. Tell me, what is that hedge made of? What is it made of?
It's un buisson. It's plants. Un buisson. Schraub. It's un buisson. And it's much higher than my head, so I could never jump above it.
So you couldn't jump over it?
No, I can't even see past it.
Cool. So tell me, how wide is it? You can't see on top, but how wide is it? Can you see to the left and the right?
Yeah, it would be like on a horse course, I guess, like 2 meters wide.
Yeah. And you said it was made out of plants, yeah?
Yeah.
Flowers or tree,
yes.
Shrub type thing.
Okay. I guess I've got this image of plant mazes, kind of like in Harry Potter.
Maze, yeah, plant maze. Cool. And you're standing, how far are you away from that hedge?
A meter.
A meter, 1 meter.
Yeah.
Okay. So stay with that, with the metaphor now. So what I'm going to show you here is how easy we can change things by getting out of the story, okay? Because everything that we have actually in a story, we are perceiving it within our body as a visual, as a metaphorical representation of some kind. So tell me, Caroline, what's behind you? The hedge is in front of you. You've got a meter in between. What is behind you?
Wide space.
Just wide space, wide sand?
Yeah, I still, because I still saw myself on a horse course. So I guess I'm seeing the rest of the track behind me.
The rest of the track, the horse's track, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So,
and, cool. And what's to the left?
I'm looking.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, I'm still seeing field. I'm basically seeing this one big hedge and I'm forcing myself to go across it, but there's nothing around that's stopping me.
Okay, cool. So there's nothing to the right either?
No.
Okay, cool. But there's the hedge in front, you can't see over it, and that's it. Okay, so, right. Now, what I want you to do now is I want you to take one step back. And actually, as you take that one step back, tell me how this picture changes. What changes as you take that one step back and just gain a bit more of an overview there?
It's like I'm seeing a little bit behind. So because there's a curve, because there's a curve to the track, I can see more of the track that's behind the hedge.
Okay, cool. Now step back to where you stood before.
Yeah.
And take a step to the left and tell me what happens when you do that.
It's mental. Yeah, same actually, because it's
you see a bit further.
Yeah. Yeah.
And back, go back. Take a step to the right.
Yeah.
Same thing?
No.
No. What's happening on the right?
Because it's bending left, so on the right I don't see more of the track. It's kind of like I'm closer to the hedge.
So sometimes doing the right thing is not necessarily the right thing. Right. Okay, step back to where you were.
Okay.
I want you to actually take a step forward because you do have a whole meter, right? So just take a step forward and tell me what happens to that hedge as you take that one step forward.
Nothing. I just feel breeze.
But nothing changes, yeah?
No.
Okay. So I've got to ask you to step back to where you were before, and I want you to actually look at yourself as you're standing there, and I want you to tell me quite quickly, don't think too much, how old you actually are as you're standing there. How old are you?
30.
30. Okay. And how old are you now, if I may ask?
I'm 36.
You're 36, okay. Okay. What's on top of you?
What's on top of me? On top? above, sky, on top, nothing.
Yeah, so you got just sky on
Yeah.
ahead of. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I know it's only 6 years, but what I would like you to do, I would like you to look at that 30-year-old person that is standing right there. And I would like you to ask her a question. Because she's been standing there for what, 6 years? It might not be long. Some people stand, you know, in front of hedges for much longer than that. Okay?
Yeah.
But, you know, you've been standing there for 6 years, and it's one of those things, you know, there's nothing really to the left, there's nothing really to the right, there's nothing really behind. So the question is, like, think about that. You and I, we're going down the road. So how do you actually deal with that anger in real life now, as you come out of your metaphor?
Oh.
How do you deal with that?
I swallow it back.
You swallow it.
I swallow my anger. Yes.
You swallow it. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Great. Now, you and I, Caroline, we're going down the road and we're seeing this field.
Yeah.
And there's a 30-year-old lady, and she's standing in front of a hedge, and the hedge is quite, you know, it's made out of plants and all that, and it's quite a bit higher than her. Nothing to the left, nothing to the right, nothing in the back. And we're looking at her, and she keeps swallowing.
Yeah. Okay. And
we say, look, we know you've got anger issues, and we know it's because of your parents, and you know it's all that crap and all this, but you know what, keep swallowing and you'll be okay.
No.
Yeah. It's not the best advice, is it?
Spit it out.
What else could we advise her to do?
I just want to stomp my foot and hit the ground.
Oh yeah, stamp your foot. That's much better than swallowing, right?
Yeah.
Swallow and stamp your foot. That's so much better, right? What's that get her?
Huh?
I wonder, Caroline, what's left for this chick to do?
Walk away. But it's the rational response, you know?
Take a step to the left again.
Okay. Oh, go around?
And see if you can move beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you do it right now?
Yes.
Yes? We're all there with you. Yay, 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 yay. Are you stepping? Are you walking?
Yes. Very slowly, extremely slowly for some reason, but I am. It's like I'm dragging something, but yes.
You're dragging something with you. Now, are you willing to stop being that, what do you call that horse that carries everyone? Those horses that drag the wagons behind? Those working horses?
I don't know.
Yeah, working horses. Yeah. On the tracks, you know, or they carry them, you know, not carry, you know. Are you willing to let all of that baggage go? That you can actually move with total ease and carry on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perceive the shift in the energy as you've moved beyond that hedge. Can anyone else perceive that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is, and can you actually see, what do you see in front of you now, Caroline?
Well, kind of the same as what was in the back. I see a lot of flat land.
There's no more hedge, right?
No.
No. So as you keep walking over the next couple of days, weeks, months, the landscape will start getting richer and richer and richer and richer. And the hedge is now behind you. You left that behind. Yeah, cool.
Breathing exercises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for playing. And that bit of a demonstration to see how we can work with some real heavy stuff, be that not anger, any type of emotion, any trauma and all of that. And the thing is now, this is not an easy thing to do when you are in your own metaphor. Yeah, I've had people walk out from my sessions because they could not hack it. Because they came for certain things and then we started talking about, you know, things like this and they said, who the fuck, what are you doing? Because it is that powerful. So do let us know in the next couple of days, weeks, how that actually has changed your reality, and you don't even have to do anything. That metaphor is going to stick with you, and as you move on, you will actually perceive how it changes.
It's very funny, the synchronicity right now that we're talking about detoxing anger and stuff like that, because I just bought a liver detox kit this morning.
Yes.
So fantastic. I know.
Yes, fantastic. How does it go about? And that's actually in the revocation. I used in revocation all the organs, the pericardium, the liver, you know, everything. When we are small and we are perceiving the anger from our parents and everything, it all goes, because it covers our heart space here.
Yes.
And all the hits and everything that we're getting against, it almost knocks us out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What does that, guys, just talk, whatever comes up for you. Ask questions now. I've got no plan here, so you can just come up and we'll just facilitate whatever. This is an opportunity.
Just to follow on from what you were saying there, Martina, you know, when you notice anger, or you're receiving anger, or you're in an angry environment where anger is floating around, I used to find that it used to take my breath away. It always caught my breath, which was interesting. You know, I found it difficult to breathe when I would be in that sort of a space. And I find it difficult to breathe when I'm angry, actually. I forget to breathe. And breathing is what actually centers me and calms me down and helps me to deal with it. But in not breathing, I'm almost losing something over to my anger. And it's interesting, the wording that we use, you know, you must get over it and overcome it. And we use terms like that all the time. And there's a lot of judgment in it, but there's also a lot of demand in some way. There's a demand, you must get over that. You know, there's a kind of a demand, and there's a shaming in it, in that
Absolutely.
demand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which is putting even more negativity on it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, it does. So then you haven't a hope of being able to deal with it or express it. You know, the difference it would make if somebody said, oh, I see you're really angry. Would you like to tell me about that? I can really understand that you could be angry. You know, would you like to talk about it? Because I think immediately I would breathe. I would kind of think, right, I can tell you, but I need to breathe first.
So
Mary, tell you.
Let me say two things. The people around you will not be able to tell you that, because they are the ones whose anger you are carrying.
Okay.
So they do not have the level of awareness to actually facilitate you on that.
I know, yes.
That's the one thing. So you always have to, that's why you got us, you know, to pick up the phone and say, hey, I need a facilitation. I don't need a friend to tell you, you know, story and drama and trauma, but what's happening, what can I do?
Yes.
And the second thing to that is, when you're not breathing, just think, what is that? Are you actually in your body?
No.
So that you're kicked out of your body. You're allowing yourself to be kicked out of your body. And this is where the body almost stops breathing.
Yes.
Right? And this
I
is the
also
thing.
think, sorry, no, go on.
No, it's just that I think that's something learned in childhood. And I think that an awful lot of people, I have observed it in a lot of people, that difficulty in breathing and staying present and staying in the body. You know, and I have noticed that in people, and it's because I have noticed it in myself. So I think it's a good thing to do, to look at ourselves when we're angry, and how do we respond? What are our thoughts? What are our feelings? What do we want to do? Because it's an emotion that we find it really difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, what did you want?
Go on, Laura.
Just going on from what you were saying, I think this tool of visualization is possibly underutilized, and it is a great one for bringing you into your body and not just dealing with the anger. I mean, any other energies that we're looking at transmuting, visualization works a lot better for most people to transmute these things and handle them.
Yeah.
I agree, but it's just that it's difficult, I think, when you're in the heat of anger,
Yeah.
to visualize. And I
Yeah.
do think that there's some value in saying, you know, look, I feel really angry right now. I need to take 5 minutes. I think even that's a simple tool that we need to teach children. We need to teach each other, and we need to allow each other that space, because we do need to take a few minutes, because you can't go into that space of meditation or visualization or anything else until you actually take the few minutes. And really what you're doing is giving yourself time to come back into your body, really.
You come back into your body.
Yeah.
So you said if you start listening to how we talk, it's like in the heat of the anger. Yeah?
Yes.
Of the anger. Remember when we were reading the revocation and it got hot all of a sudden?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And then when you take your time out to cool down.
Exactly.
It's so funny how that stuff, you know, anger associated with fire, obviously, because, you know, it comes, you know, and that's what often hits us.
Yeah. And with the rush of adrenaline, so the adrenaline is flowing because that's what happens. You know, physically, that's what is happening. The adrenals are firing you up on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And it's the fight or flight, because that was our primitive response. You know.
Exactly. So the main thing to remember is always, with every emotion that you're dealing with, is it actually mine, or have I picked it up from somebody else?
Yeah, that's
How do you tell the difference?
The difference is when you ask the question. So let's say you're getting angry and you get yourself being angry, and you can acknowledge, oh, okay, I'm angry. So who does that belong to? Is this my anger or somebody else's? And then you answer quite quickly. And then if you get a yes, oh, it's not mine, you can perceive that, and it will probably be a little bit of practice, yeah, and a bit of trust within yourself. But in the beginning, it doesn't matter. You just play and say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, whatever. But just by doing that, you allowing yourself to acknowledge that you have just perceived that in somebody else. What am I actually perceiving here? So as innately, we are all, and these are access tools, access consciousness, okay? Because that's what it's one of my toolbox that I'm using. And it's really, really cool. It's that simple, and you will feel a lightness or a heaviness, yeah? And very often when something feels heavy, you can anticipate that there is a lie that you have bought. And when I say a lie, it doesn't mean that people need to lie to you because they're just lying pieces of shit, but they're actually telling you a truth that works for them that has nothing to do with you. They make it, and we parents do this all the time because we know better, right? Because we're years better. It's all bullshit. Yeah, we know nothing. But, you know, who was lucky enough to have a parent, you know, to acknowledge that, you know, and yes, we do know a couple of things, but it's not for us to indoctrinate our children with that. And of course, that's once we start learning that in childhood, then we take that over and over and over. And Alan is saying, can you dissolve anger and rage without having to identify the source? Absolutely. Absolutely. You do not have to go into the trauma and the drama. You can say, okay, what is this? Is this anger? Is this hate? Is this rage? Okay, cool. Acknowledge it. Who does it belong to? Doesn't belong to me. Send it back. Send it back to sender with consciousness attached. And another thing was up there, we're not burning hedges. We're not trimming hedges. It's all about the movement, okay? It's all about the movement. So Andrew Austin, A-U-S-T-I-N, metaphors of movement. The gift in that metaphorical work, that work that he has created and made available to people is tremendous. And the simplicity of it, and when you're in your own metaphor, you might not recognize it for other people, but it is amazing how you can get stuck in that own metaphor. Yeah, and sometimes it's impossible. Caroline was saying it's difficult for her to move. It was difficult, but she could do it. There's some people can't do it. Just impossible. Can't move.
It's the freeze part, isn't it?
It depends what, it's an individual thing. It can be anything really, but it's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In real life, for me, when I'm confronted with other people's angers, which happens a lot, I freeze. Like I can't move. There's danger.
And you swallow.
Do I swallow? No.
You said you swallowed.
No, I don't swallow.
No, you just freeze.
I don't breathe either.
Okay, so this is the thing. We've got fight and we've got flight. Okay, and then we got the freeze. And this is when the little Bambi knows she's got to be eaten by not a Bambi, whatever, that little foal, gets eaten, the cougar gets eaten by the big lion, freezes, and it gets ready for, there's another level to that. Do you know what the next level after freeze is? Surrender.
Facts, I was going to say.
So after that freeze level, when you start freezing, it's like, okay, Bambi, yeah, okay, we're not going to die here because there's obviously no lion, so it's all right. Let's just surrender. Surrender. Anyone got a good idea for how to surrender in such a situation? Breathe. Start breathing. Good. Start breathing. Acknowledge it first.
You can tell yourself you could deal with it again.
Huh?
Because usually the pressure that makes you to freeze is you kind of feel you must deal with it now. But if you said, I can deal with this again, I'll deal with that later. That's a good way sometimes to buy yourself time.
And just acceptance. Acceptance of what is.
Yeah.
What else we got? So in the moment, yeah, Jill?
Just acknowledging it.
Acknowledge what's happening, yes, I'm freezing. And then remind yourself you want to get back into the body, okay? So when that happens, is what happens to the body. The body is like, it's almost like, you go like this. You can't breathe. You're contracting your lungs and everything like this. So it's almost like you're stuck in something.
My mind goes blank.
The mind goes blank and everything, yeah.
Okay. Neutralized.
So here's your tool. You then drop all of that, and you don't need to know what all of that is. You just drop all that shit around you, and then you start expanding out, okay? And you just perceive yourself getting bigger. And when I say bigger, not necessarily the body has to get bigger, but you, the beingness, okay? So consider yourself the body inside of your beingness. Let's do all that for a moment. Close your eyes for a moment. Drop all those barriers, those protection, those anger, shields, and all that stuff that we've built up for eons, this lifetime, other lifetimes, dimensions, time streams, all the crap that we bought from others, all the projections that we bought from others, and the expectations, what we're supposed to be doing with our anger, what we're not allowed to be doing, we're not supposed to be angry, all of that, just drop that. All that blah, blah, drop it. Take a deep breath in all the way from the bottom of your tailbone up into the crown. Exhale it back down again. And then expand yourself out. See your body within your beingness and start expanding yourself out. Make yourself as big as the room. And then you actually start realizing you want to get bigger. So expand yourself out into the house, into the flat, into the whole road, the whole village, the whole city, the whole country. And then once you get the hang of it, you want to have the whole country, expand yourself out. Take the world, expand yourself out, up to the central sun, all the way down into inner earth. And then from that place, start breathing and perceive the difference. Yes, let it all out. That's good. That's part of the surrender bit. And then just open your eyes. And that's simple, okay? When you go into the freeze, okay. If you only remember, drop the shit and expand. Yeah, that.
I'm gonna get that tattooed on my arm.
And surrender. And then from that space, you are back with your body, you're connected to your breath. And there's another thing. When we always say come into your body, now we all know by now that the soul capacity that we have will not fit in our tiny, cute little bodies. It's impossible, okay? So another way of looking at it, and we said that yesterday in the show, it's not about you bringing everything, squeezing everything into this body, but you're connecting to that soul, to that remote soul. That's the one thing. So it's the connection between you and the non-localist soul. And then it's also a very good way of looking at it is your body is inside of your being. So there is no restriction for the being. The being can be all over the place. Yeah. Now, having said that, that's when you go into meditation. That's when you actually do your tools because you have to get back. Now, usually what you want to have like a nice bubble around you when you stretch your arms out and then just bring them up and bring them down. This is pretty much arm's length. This is where you want your auric field to be. Okay? And then within that auric field, within that arm's length bubble, egg, whatever you want to call it, this is just your core energy. And nobody's going to tap into that core energy unless you have a very, very intimate relationship and whatever you're doing at the time. Yeah. Not even then is necessarily required. You can always work with universal energy. Never give your core energy. It's not required. Yeah. Nobody wants it. Yeah, well, that's not true. They do, but it's actually not, it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
No.
It's not healthy because as you pick up other people's energies outside of yourself, these are the energies that you can't heal. There's a lot of stuff going on with these energies. They are not your signature frequency necessarily. You can't heal them. Don't do it. That's what do we call this?
Martyrdom.
Other people's sovereignty and certainly stepping on your own. So don't just work with, think of universal energy as healer. We're all healers here. We all have healer bodies. It's universal energy coming in all the way through, out there again. In, out, in, out. You're just that catalyst. You're the transformer. Yeah? That's what I love, the transformers. You know those?
Yes.
Love them. Yeah.
So cool. I'm thinking about the times that, like, acknowledging the times that I've got really angry, and I'm just seeing that a lot of time it's because I've kind of been like painted into a corner with my perceptions, and I'm just realizing now that a lot of time it's just someone else painting their own perception onto me and me taking it on and then like taking on their anger when it's just having a limited point of view and a limited perspective that has the anger. So just really stepping back and just seeing it all.
But I love this, John. How can you step back if you're painted in the corner?
I know, I like doing things with visualizations. So I'm just seeing myself like in a corner, but then just like pew, springing up like
I know.
Sky and the stars, and then you can see everything.
I know, and you're not even in the corner. You're painted in the corner. So how many, let me ask you a question. How many Jeans are painted in all these different corners, in all these different rooms, because I'm getting a lot, whoa, there's one stuck, there's one stuck, there's one stuck, there's one stuck. All these Sean paintings everywhere. Are you willing to take those back now? Because these are residual energies of you. So how many have you got? More than 100?
You know, a lot of experiences. Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely more than 100.
More than 500? More than 500 or less?
Probably more than 500.
Yeah, more than 1,000?
Did I bust my lid? Probably more than 1,000.
Okay, so all those more than 1,000 paintings of Sean Bibli or whatever, yeah, Sean, can we now give permission to pull them back to where they actually belong to?
A bigger point of view.
Huh?
To a bigger point of view. It's where they belong.
To a bigger point of view, okay. Okay, what does that mean?
Just pulling them out of the corners so they can actually see what's going on instead of having such a narrow perspective on
Right,
things.
okay. So you have now a choice. You can either heal some of them, because you can do this right now, you're quite fast. You can heal, I mean, you've got over 1,000, so heal the ones, let the ones go.
I can see them.
You can't see them?
I can see them, yeah.
Yeah. So heal.
It's like little needles of light coming out of the earth all over the place. Like acupuncture.
Yes. So you can heal some of them. Some of them want to go probably. Some of them want to come back. You know, just look at that. Just let them integrate, reintegrate. Just do all this. You're very fast doing that. So here you go. Good.
Yeah, it's beautiful. There's so many when you acknowledge all the moments. Just this literally like go into the anger file in your mind and just see all the times you were just so fed up and pissed off and trapped into a little corner, and you're only you took on the other person's perspective to bite back instead of doing your own perspective of, you know, outgrowing that scenario. But yeah, pulling them out. I'm bringing them back, bringing them home.
Yes. So you see, this is the thing where we're investing our energy in that, in being painted onto walls like this, you know. And then this is an energy that is actually needed for us, because that's your core energy, right? And you need that to create, to survive, yeah? So with regards to anger, anger very often comes up because we're not acknowledging our potency, and it is in the revocation, okay? So that's very often. We are often not even angry with the people that piss us off. We're actually angry with ourselves because we're not standing up to them, or we're fighting them.
Yeah, I'm thinking about all the people that I fought back in the day, just as like a younger person. And I'm thinking that it's just, it was an outlet that happened because I just, with all my power that I had at the time, I wasn't being near creative enough with it. So it just needed to come out in a ferocious.
So this fighting energy, yeah, is that still useful to you now?
No, I've channeled it pretty well. Well, like, I mean, yes. Yeah, sure. Because it's a very creative, strong force. And, you know, I try to channel it these days and just circulate it through me. But it's not the same. It's been transmuted quite a lot.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. You know, I mean, we all work with the fighting energy. It's still a fighting energy.
And it's like, you know,
you can't fight for peace. So we really need to take that fighting energy and transmute and transform it into an energy that is more conducive to what we actually want to create. Because what did we have before just now? When you are, whatever you are focusing on, whatever you're trying to avoid, you perpetrate more of it. And the more you think the fighting energy is creative, the more you're gonna have to fight. And what do we normally fight for? We don't want to lose, right? So we're fighting to not lose. So look at the energy that we are actually perpetrating as we are avoiding
Fight, you lose.
to lose. Yeah, that type of stuff. So how can we turn this round? That's the question. How can we surrender into this and then work from that place of no fighting, no worrying about losing, but just really creating? And sorry, somebody wanted to say something. Was it you, Petruska?
No, it was a mistake. I just, no, I didn't want to say anything. It's
Okay.
not this moment.
Okay.
I was just thinking, Martina, losing is just a perception. It's a perception like failure. It's not real.
No.
So that might help to turn it around if we can realize that it's okay to have, you know, you don't ever lose anyway, because that's not real.
The only thing, it hurts so much, isn't it? We can feel it.
Yes, it does. But I think well, I'm just looking at myself, that there are times when I would have changed my perspective and see it as not losing, not winning and not losing. And it's more like allowing it to, I think your vision of it going through you is really good. You know, the energy is going through. It's not attaching. And it's not being attached to the outcome.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. And not fighting does not mean that we are losing.
Yes, that's the thing.
Losing, it's actually that we are winning.
Yes.
And how often do we go, I want to win, instead of I don't want to lose? So this is where we have to just look at the way we speak, what do we say, and then turn it round. So what's the opposite? And actually let me focus on the opposite. So I've really, when I use, to give you an idea, when I use the word create, for me it's a positive thing, because I don't even think that creation could be negative. It was so interesting yesterday. I was saying create something. Oh, awareness creates, right? And then Andrew says, yeah, I can create positive and negative. I'm thinking, oh, that's right. Because for me, create is only positive. So I had to find the word, and luckily it came to me today. The word is perpetrate. That's the negative creating for me I can now use. Because create for me personally is just positive. And I need to be aware of that, you know? What does that bring up for you guys?
I think I need
words that are weird.
Could you just say that once again? Sorry, you perpetrate. It's just that I'm trying to figure out what you've just said.
What I'm saying is the energy of create for me. So yesterday I was talking to Andrew and I said in the show, I said awareness creates, and I was like, yeah, awareness.
Yes, I heard you saying that. Yes,
and it's just for me, it's immediately my thought process goes to positive creation.
Yes.
And he says, yeah, it creates positive and negative. And I'm like, what? Right. Of course, it creates negative too. It can, right?
Yes.
Awareness, or whatever. And I'm like, true. So then I had to think, this morning I thought, so what is a better word for me to use? Because I don't want to change necessarily my positive thing about creation. And I thought, what's the opposite of creation? Or what actually identifies negative creation better than create? And that was the word perpetrate, because perpetrate means, when I looked it up, is creating harmful.
Okay.
So I'm trying to clean all my words. I'm trying to clean the way I speak, you know, so that there is not much definition that I can get hung up on. And also it's a nice, clean way of communication. So people actually don't feel like projecting onto them by the words that I'm using.
And they're not triggering. And that's the thing, isn't it, about anger? Because the words that are chosen are usually aggressive type of words that are going to trigger. And that's the aim. That's the aim of the person. They want to throw it at you. It's like verbal terrorism, really.
So
little bombs.
Does anger create?
Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely.
It does. Yeah,
it does.
It does. And sometimes, are you willing to express your anger when it is required?
Yes, I think we need to.
Yeah.
Mm.
And does that mean that I used to get much more angry than I get now, but I can get evil on somebody's ass. See, now I stepped into it, and it can last for, and then it's gone, finished. And then I might say, apologies, but, you know, I might not, depending on, you know, I don't hang in the energy. I don't stay there.
Yes.
And in the beginning, I had to practice. Now I just have to say, no, I just say, thank you very much. It doesn't work for me. I can do it through the voice and through my, you know, because we don't just speak with words, right? We've our pheromones, and we've got the way, you know, we're working with our body and stuff like that. I can't even remember that. I think words is only 7%. The rest of voice and body language. Yeah. So everything has its place. And this is where non-judgment comes in. Non-judgment means that you allowing yourself to be whatever it takes in that particular moment. Because let's say, for instance, you're going down the road and it's dark and somebody pulls a knife and you, I can't get angry, I can't. No, you've got to have that potency, that energy. You don't have to call it anger, but that energy that could be identified as anger almost, to turn around and say, whoa.
The repellent of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because anger is an ignition. Usually, I've been working a lot in the past with my anger, and it used to be ignition in my stomach, in my solar plexus. And if I let it go, it was like a volcano. And the vibration I used to cause was amazing for the little person I am. And I've been working a lot with that kind of anger ignition, because I don't want to make disappear my anger, because the anger is useful. It's that potency of the anger.
Okay, so you could even go so far to say that you are now calling the anger actually potency.
Yes, it is a potency.
Yeah.
Because it is like it's different. Anger is a vibration, and it's different potencies.
Yes.
That is how I experience, how I analyze in myself.
That's right. That's right.
And other thing, which for me is very important at this present moment, is we have to learn a way to express ourselves, but to break the spell. At all the time, be conscious of that. Yes, I wanted to say that.
Absolutely. And breaking those spells is basically breaking the spells of the narrative, breaking the spells of the domination and control, because everything is a spell, if you wish. Every emotion that has been misidentified and misapplied is becoming almost like, in Access, they call it a distractor implant. You can call it a spell, because it's indoctrinated onto you. If you think of the fear, and if you think of the anger that is being expressed consistently. And, you know, this is why it's quite useful to look at anger. Anger has so many different associates, isn't it? It's like, yes, hate and fury that we can still appreciate as anger, but there's
fear.
I put fear in a different category. I put fear in a different category. For me, the main distinction is anger is a not acknowledging your potency. That's that. Fear for me is really not being in the moment, getting attached to an outcome that is in the future.
Personally, like a woman, in the past, I used to use anger like a weapon. Okay.
Yeah, I did that.
It didn't define me, but in the position I was, in the male environment, anger, that was the way to express it in that moment. That was okay. Was okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And anger is also a frustration at times of feeling overwhelmed with things, and not getting your own way. It can create an anger.
A form of control, absolutely.
Yeah.
To control someone, something, and very often to control oneself.
For protection as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Protection.
Yeah.
I see that anger from everything we've been saying is kind of an impulse. If it's neutral, it's like this energy to act. It's a fire. It's whatever gives you drive. But it has been so repressed from childhood and infected with so many negative, so many negative things like you can't express it, or it's shameful, everything. We create a frustration within the anger, which make us act aggressively, which to me it's different from anger. But the aggression is the reaction that then it's like a distortion of the original anger, which has its function, which is to have us act, whereas fear is to protect us, but it's an energy of contraction, of retraction, and if you let it crystallize, then it creates paranoia and creates much worse things.
Well, it's making you small rather than expansive.
Yeah.
It's making you smaller.
Love expands and fear contracts. It's like, to me, it's really the two opposites on the spectrum.
And I think anger is also a way of setting boundaries, maybe misapplied.
Anger?
Sudden anger can be about setting your boundaries.
Well, yeah, again, it's about power. It's saying, I exist and I act.
Yes.
That's the base of anger to me. And when you're, in my case, when I'm faced with someone who's in anger and therefore asserts their existence, there's distortion in me that makes me believe I do not in their eyes. And that's when I freeze, I don't exist. So it's about acting. It's the same, it's drive. Anger is drive when it's pure, I would say.
But it can turn to abuse if it starts to be domination over somebody else. But then in the realm of abuse rather than anger, aren't you? If you're trying to have domination over somebody else rather than just setting your boundaries, you're in another aspect there.
It's always, do you act for yourself or do you act over someone else? Is it a competition or is it an accomplishment?
And over somebody else is always abuse if it's domination over someone else, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Over yourself too.
Yeah, self-abuse.
Yeah. So anger is always that misidentified or that not acknowledged potency. I would almost go so far to say that anger is not required. Once you know the energy is actually not anger the way this matrix identifies anger, but it's actually, once you step into your potency and you know how to use it, you do no longer need to use anger to motivate you. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that for that particular reason, because as soon as you have a belief system that you do need anger to motivate you, you will get dragged into other people's anger all the time, automatically. So clean yourself and clear yourself of that point of view that you need anger to motivate you, and actually see the anger as that acknowledging of your potency. Yeah. That's what I would say. That's what I've done, because I don't necessarily want to identify. I don't need to identify myself with anger anymore. Yeah. Can I get angry? Yes, I can, but I don't even call that anger anymore. I just call that, look, I am putting my foot down, if you wish, or I'm just really voicing what's going on within here.
Assertion,
that type of stuff. Yeah. And that doesn't, you don't have to scream. I used to be verbally abusive and all of that. Don't have to do this anymore. Yeah. Because that's what I learned from home. That's how my abuse was all verbal abuse, and I was good at that too. And it helped me on some level. But once I realized what I was I didn't like myself being like that anymore. You know, I'm not doing this. And then I didn't want to be angry just because I didn't want to, you know. I thought, nah, let's see what else is there. And then I thought, okay, potency. Oh, God, that sounds much better. So I chose that. You see, and this is the other thing is quite interesting. Think of you probably had experiences anyway with your own children or when you were a child, how often anger is also misidentified with caring.
No,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
You know, when you do as a child something and the mother's like, fuck, why are you
Yes.
doing this? I'm so sorry, I do it because I love you. And I'm like, okay, that is
Don't love me.
Also, I do have to say that can be a fear. Your child's going to run in the road, so you shout and you're angry that they're going to do it. And in that case, that is just a form of fear.
that too, yes.
Driven you into that instant action.
Yeah. So if you choose it as fear, if you choose it as anger, just don't say, I love you. I do this because I love you. Okay, because this is so confusing. Because doesn't hear the I love you. Oh, this is love when somebody shouts at me like that.
Yeah.
And that gets imprinted electromagnetically in the bodies, you know. And hey, we've all done it. I've done it, and you know.
Such mixed messaging.
Yeah,
this is what confuses the shit out of these young people, because you know. And I know it's not easy. I'm a mum myself, so you know, she's 21. But before that, yeah, I had to learn it too. Free therapy, really, having a child.
Do you get angry speaking light language, Alan's asked? That's an interesting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Rough and tough love, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, as somebody was saying about victimhood, yeah, because often we use anger to have a go at others because we are not choosing to be fully alive.
Yeah.
Angry at other people because they do something with their lives, and we have a lot of judgment about that and get angry because we're just still in this little victimhood bubble. It's like, okay, well, you know, somebody needs to do it for me. It's not going to happen.
And that's back to the projected anger again that you were talking about, Martina, earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is lack of self-care. That all comes down to lack of the self-potency. Yeah.
What about sarcasm? I was saying that yesterday, briefly, I think.
Yeah.
Sarcasm. I used to be sarcastic, and I thought it was funny. And now
I've always had the notion.
Huh?
I've always had the notion.
Still are. I know.
With you, yes. With you, yes, because it's required, but otherwise, no.
I love her. She's so cool, man.
Sean, can you say that again? I missed what you said. Sean.
Yeah, we didn't hear it.
Just kind of with sarcasm, you kind of become what you say. So like just sarcasm, like sarcastic people, and I've been it myself. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because like I start to see people who've been sarcastic for 20, 30, 40 years. And it's like, you are that. Like, yeah.
And they're very hurt. I find they're holding a lot of trauma and they're very hurt. And that's just one way that they think they're expressing themselves, but it's misapplied again.
It's kind of passive aggressive too, isn't it?
Passive aggressive, thank you very much. Exactly. And when you meet these people now after having done certain works, and there's no judgment in any of that.
No.
If you can't identify with it this lifetime, we've certainly done it in other lifetimes. Yeah, this is better or anything or worse. It's just like, okay, I can see this now. Oh, this is actually quite sharp. Yeah, we talked about needles, Sean, early on. Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yes.
Needles flying at you, like, woo.
Yeah, you with the sarcasm, you can see the event that the person has passed over time and time and time again. And each time the sarcasm of acceptance or like deference of it just gets a little bit more higher whining to it and a bit more. Until it becomes a mental breakdown for the person at that time or whatever it manifests.
Yeah, that's it's and then you know if you're not dealing with that, you are getting yourself into the entity realm because that energy gets stuck and it starts becoming getting its own little consciousness going, you know.
Yes.
And then it takes over the vagus nerve, takes over the parasympathetic, and then you've got to do some even more work to get rid of it.
And it's huge projection of stuff you can't handle if you're doing that. It's huge projection of stuff you just haven't bothered to deal with. You haven't faced your own traumas. You haven't taken on the responsibility of your own healing, and you just stick it out there.
Absolutely. So thanks for that. That's actually vomiting. That's psychic vomiting. Yeah. Psychic vomiting. So
I'd say it's a very tricky form of communication. And just like anything, you could do it. Just you got to be aware that the other person, like your meaning, and the other person can understand what you're meaning instead of just getting confused.
I was just thinking, if you have a conversation with somebody who's sarcastic, you could do the ducking.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So I'm just trying to get away from your, you know, attacks here, verbal fucking attacks.
That's very good, actually. You don't have to say anything, just keep ducking.
Bubble protection. What are you doing? Bubble protection. Until I like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, the sarcasm also is a bit like, because it's been done to me, I'm quite used to this, it's talking about somebody in the third person even though they're in front of you, even though they're there. Oh, she's home. So it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a disassociation.
Yes, yes.
What is that?
Trait.
What is that?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Let's look at that.
Myself.
What is that, guys? Because there's a different energy attached to that. So talking as what is she doing now? That dissociated state of, what is that?
It's almost like the person talking to themselves, isn't it? But they're doing it in front of you. Well, for me, it's happened, you know, in front of me. When I come home later than has been expected, oh, she's home. You know, it's
control is a little bit of narcissistic, because what's happening is I don't know whether you read it's online, it's called The Grey Rock. I advise you to read it. You will learn, if you put in there narcissistic grey rock, it will come up. It's really interesting to read. It's like what they're doing is, when they're looking at the other person, they're actually talking about themselves. And the way to actually reverse that, let me close the door. So the way to actually reverse that is to find the grey rock, put it in the room where the person is, and you actually, that, I don't know, it actually removes all the negativity, and it reflects their soul, their heart. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to give you a perspective of themselves. They're talking about themselves. But when you actually stop responding, you stop giving attention to it, they die. Not die, but like they... You actually totally delete it. Obviously, the first thing to do is leave physically, because we talked about this, Andrew and David. I don't know if you remember, it was last year. But if you can't, this is a very, very good. I advise you to see if I find the link. I put it in the Zoom link. But it's a very interesting read. And if you do that properly and really sticking to your power and potency and just disassociate with it, totally, it will work. Because what they're doing is they're trying to harvest your energy.
No, thanks for that. And it's a bit like you know, you can't actually or you don't attract much. No, that's not true. What's the thing? You don't attract much as long as you don't resist and react to something. It's actually not going to impact on you. Resistance and the reaction that causes you to be dragged into the judgment, into the harvesting of the energy.
Yeah, you make it irrelevant.
Yeah, but let's go back to that person. Do you know what, Laura? Could it be that person that is talking in third person about you, that actually not seeing the real you, but the fabricated you? Is it literally talking to the fabricated you that he or she has created in the mind?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes, I love that, because usually when you talk to somebody, you know when you're talking to an entity, right? Or to another version of the person. But actually, I never thought along the lines that they actually, it's maybe a version of themselves that is talking to a version of you that they have created for themselves in their weird fucking mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It still
Absolutely.
has an energy of, it still has an energy of sarcasm about it. Now, why is that?
Well, obviously, because it's ridiculous.
Yes.
I wonder if it's provocative.
It's like,
yes, it is provocative too.
It's dismissive of the real you, though. It's dismissive of the real you. And I think that's why you're experiencing that as sarcasm, and that is hurtful.
It's like
has walked in.
Yeah.
Almost as if you belong to that person and you've gone against them.
It's full of connotations. Yes, it is.
Absolutely patronizing. Yeah, Annan said. Yeah. Absolutely patronizing.
When someone's being sarcastic, it's like they say their opinion and they put it out to the person, but it's not coming from themselves, so they don't have to feel any repercussions for what they say.
Yeah, no responsibility.
Like, I'm saying what I mean, but it's coming from here. It's not coming from me, so you can't get mad because it's not really me saying it, but which makes you think, like, almost, is it the entity that steps over here and throws the sword out that's like not really part of you? Because when someone's being sarcastic, it is their core essence that they're putting out, but it's coming from an angle that is not directly from themselves.
Yeah, that they can't control, maybe, to some extent, Sean. Maybe that.
So, Sean, and is it still your responsibility to call them on it, even though you understand what's going on? You know exactly what's going on. Can you still actually call them? And because they're stepping on your sovereignty too, but
I would call
you're
them
fucking idiot.
Yes.
But it's really interesting.
On it. Yeah.
You got like the collective acceptance of like the sarcasm and how long it's been going on and how no one's been calling each other on anything. And that's how things can get so diluted and diverted over time, because no one's been accountable for any of their actions for so long because it's been coming from an invisible third party.
Yes.
I get that. I get that.
It wasn't me. It wasn't him.
Yeah, you don't take responsibility. Yes, you don't take responsibility.
Yeah, it's all about responsibility and not being able
it's not
to
with you. Yes.
But if the real you is being dismissed, has the real you an obligation to the real self to speak up?
Oh, that was the question.
Yeah.
And yes, it'll keep building up until you acknowledge it.
I think so, Sean, and I think that you have to at least once. I think if you acknowledge it once, you could afford to ignore it the rest of the time. But I think that the real self needs to at least once speak in that.
We've all been in those environments where you just feel it. It just keeps, the pressure keeps building and building and building and building. And it happens all the time until we just acknowledge it.
It does, yes, it does.
Yeah.
Like confront it head on.
Absolutely. And what you're saying about how these things happen collectively and we allow them for so long, you know, and they get an energy of their own almost.
Yeah, so that was to them.
Yes.
Very, very threat. And
a perfect.
Guys, can I just add something? What enough? Because I perceive that there might be somebody.
Just add,
there might be who is a victim of this, and remember that sometimes it takes a third person to actually say, "Wow, this is happening in your life," and when that does, the person can become very vulnerable, because imagine all these things just falling down. Oh my God, this happened to me. So when that happens, just ask for help, because it can be so destroying of the person, the personality, and the mind totally, that it can lead to some really not so nice things. So it's important to ask help. So if you're watching this, whoever it is, and this happens to you, and you realize, contact whoever it is here.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice to anyone.
Yeah.
Let me just say something before I lose it, because that was such a beautiful example. What you guys just given is of tacit consent. Okay.
Exactly.
You don't speak up for the level of your awareness. You take the responsibility for the level of your awareness. You're allowing somebody else to step on your boundaries. And that's no longer acceptable either at our level of awareness. We're
not at all. And it's a form of gaslighting as well, really.
Mm-hmm. This is so interesting.
Form of undermining. Sorry, Sean?
It's a form of self-abuse.
So interesting. Because it's just like you have both person, and they've been in the environment of the sarcasm for a while, and they've both taken the responsibility out for so long that how to say it, that they're both fight or flight against each other, and they don't even know it. It's like they've been just detached for so long that
I do know what you're trying to say. I do, and I think that actually that happens when there's something fundamental not being dealt with.
Yeah, so like when you take the responsibility away for so long.
Yeah, but it's diverted off into these other, characters that she's there and he's there, and there's a game going on. But like, what's really happening? Because there's usually something very fundamental.
It's like you've just got two entities, haven't you?
Yes.
You've actually got two entities that have taken over and just continually fuel each other, like in an argument.
It's like a system.
The same thing.
Like a propagating system once you take responsibility out of the equation.
Yep. That's called a toxic relationship.
Absolutely.
What do you mean by gaslighting?
Undermining somebody.
All right.
Making them always wrong. It's a real narcissist thing that they do is whatever it is, you're to blame. They're not. It is a really severe form of undermining somebody on a continual basis. And in fact, some people who are gaslighted actually get to feel it is themselves.
Yes.
They actually buy into that so much they start, I've been there. I've started to question myself and think, oh yeah, I was like that and I should have done that and maybe that was me. And then that's getting quite serious.
Interesting.
Some of your sovereignty.
Yeah, because what you do is the other person who is receiving this, you build this trust, okay? You build this trust so much, and then suddenly you realize, oh shit. Oh, and then you think, oh, it's me, and that's not true. And then the only way, like I said, it might be a third person who will say, boom, and then just, oh, okay, cool. Wow, this is happening. But when you realize this, you can get to so much depression, or you just know, fuck it, and I'm leaving. So it can be this girl or this girl. That's what I'm saying. If anybody is experiencing, ask for help. Ask for help. There is help. There is a choice. There is a possibility.
That's right. There is help for everyone.
Yes.
We've got lots of peacemakers, peacekeepers, healers. They're all out there. They're waiting for work. And they're here to contribute. Absolutely. But it's the responsibility for you to ask. I want to say one more thing to all of that. And that is looking at when you are working from a soul level and when you're working from a human level, okay? Because how many of you have been able to understand and see perfectly where these other people are coming from, why they are misbehaving, why they're doing what they're doing, and you know it all, and you just allow it because you are, as a soul, have no judgment. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. As a soul, you don't care. But that's when you then abuse your own human body.
Absolutely.
Your human form. So it's all cool to say I can work on a soul level, and we all can, but do not fall into the trap to let your body behind, to leave your body behind, because you're constantly in allowance. So allowance does not mean you become a doormat or you keep abusing your body, your sovereignty, because you're acknowledging everyone else and allow them to be whoever they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Cool.
And remember, guys, you know what allowance is? Allowing is the absence of doubt. So you have to doubt less and allow more. It's simple. It's very easy. No secrets. No fuss, no muss. That's it.
Here we
You
go.
want to allow or you want to doubt? You can choose.
I really like the essence of all that there, because with me, a lot of the time it was just going on. I like looking back and realizing that it's been a lot of fun. Like all the experiences that I've had, they've been great and they've been fun. It's really helped me kind of, you know, just be appreciate and level out. But I got to still keep changing. So I'm still changing, but got to let other people have those fun experiences too. Because, you know, you look back at them and they're like, oh my God.
And Sean, that's why I said it.
Yeah.
I said it specifically for you, because I can appreciate that you, whatever you've been through, it was still fun for you in a weird sort of way.
You know, I was giggling
totally
earlier.
Get it. I totally get it. And now, let me just tell you now, in this new era of light, you carry on not putting yourself first, because it is self-abuse, okay, on some level. It will bite you in the ass. And also, this is now a time to get out of mediocrity, because we need every single energy, core energy, for thriving, for co-creating with people that actually inspire us, that we can work with and don't have that old type of fun. I totally understand what you're saying, because everything that has happened to me, I never even blinked with it. Well, that's not true, that obviously, but it was at the end of the day, it's all fun. I can do this, I can do this, and I could. But there's a huge but to it.
Yeah.
And that's the but that you get bitten.
Yeah.
That trap that's trying to pull you back in.
Yeah. It's all cool to know that you have a non-localized soul you're working with, but you also have a body, because what we've been doing is we have not been acknowledging our bodies. Because what does the body actually want? Body wants to have much more fun than we have been allowing it to have. It, him, her, whatever. I'm just going to park that off for you, and not as a projection, as an inspiration, because I have been exactly in the same situation.
And I was giggling earlier because you've been a mother, and when you all you guys talking about those mother experiences, I just imagine being a kid out in the rain, covered in mud, and you're really enjoying the experience. At whose expense? You'll find that out later, but you just, in that experience, you're just having so much fun, and that's all that mattered at that time. It's like, this person's gonna clean me up.
And what a great example, because why don't we all get back into the puddles?
Yes.
At our age, mothers or not, grandmothers or not, who cares? Let's get in the puddle. That's fun, right? Show the kids how to do it. Yeah, because they've forgotten, because they don't have time. They have to watch TV or be on their phones now. They just roll in the mud and say, Mama, what are you doing? Well, hey, let's have some fun here.
Gonna make time for that extra laundry session.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yes. They do that. There are groups of people in the UK, I don't know about elsewhere, and I don't know what they call it, but they go
rollers.
Out mud. Yeah.
Mud rollers?
Something
the mud rollers back.
We need to go.
They come every Thursday.
Do it. Dancing in the rain, yes. Dancing in the rain is so cool. Oh God, okay.
Well, dogs can do it. They love doing it.
I know. Dogs can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, I just watched it.
Oh, that's so good. So good.
It's a great antidote to anger too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's movement and laughter, and it usually will dissolve it away.
Letting down the boundaries, letting down the barriers, and just be vulnerable, surrender. Let's be silly. Be silly.
Well, laughter is a great frequency flipper, isn't it?
It is.
Spontaneous laughter, if you think of the energy that comes forward with spontaneous laughter, you can just flip those frequencies just like that. I mean, if you're in a row and you can find the humour in it, it just dissolves, doesn't it? That anger, whatever's there, it just dissolves. But it's not always easy to do, I know, but it's it does work.
So next time you have your triangle discussion, you know, at wherever, you know, you should say, okay, guys, whenever you're done, I'll come back and then we can talk. Let them get on with it and just move on.
Yeah.
I'll be back whenever you're ready. Or what I do sometimes, I pull the people off because they're actually representing I know exactly who they are portraying at the moment. So I just call them by the name.
Yeah.
He acts like the mum or the dad.
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Shuts up right away. Or call him any name, you know, but it's just not his. Or sometimes if you want them to come back in, you just call them, hey, Maria Grubmüller, I'm speaking to you. Okay. And they're back. You can physically perceive.
That's interesting. I wonder if mothers do that without thinking. Because you don't always call your child, you know, I call them darling or my love or things like that. But when you want their attention suddenly, I say, David. And then what is that? Is that bringing their soul right back, getting them grounded?
You bring them back into the body, basically. That's okay, attention now. I'm speaking to you.
Pay attention.
Did you guys get the full name? Like Sean Robert, did he?
Yes. Are you Irish? Are you Irish, Sean?
It's a little bit, but it's more English.
Okay, they do that a lot here. They call you by the full name when they really want your attention.
Yes.
What does that mean? It
Cool.
works.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It does work, yes. So, lovely people, have we got something else that is on the edge that needs to come out? Do you want anything we still want to discuss? Any more questions on anger, fury, hate, frustration, impatience, that type of stuff? Anything that any of that brought up? I think, again, you know, we covered such a big field here, which, you know, is great to listen to the recording afterwards.
Just love your body, Martina. The more you love your body, the more you release everything. The more you change physically, your body will change. My body within the last, let's say, I don't even know what, I don't live in time thing. I don't know what month it is. No, I don't know what date it is. But what happened is, I don't even have to tell you this. You'll be interested in this. I even haven't told you that yet. But what happened is, this anger, this hate can numb your body. It can stuff your body so much that it can develop bones coming out, or this is different way, like, oh, why is my bum always like that, or why is that always like that, or why is that, you know, like you ask yourself. And then this requires, as you know, a very, very high level of awareness and understanding and work. And I did ask myself questions, serious questions. And then suddenly it just started to dissolve. And I'm actually doing an experiment and I'm measuring it physically. And it's dissolving week by week. It's a miracle. I could never in my life thought this is going to happen. I might post pictures, but I'm not sure. But the more you get to the stage when you fall in love with you more and more and more, not just with the good things, but with this crap, with the anger, with the hate, which we said everything. And the more you do that, what you start to realize that everything around you will disappear in a way that you will never, it is there, but it's not going to affect you. And you say, it is so strong and level at yourself with yourself, that suddenly your business starts to grow. Oh, the clients are coming. Or, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, people.
Or flowers start to grow out of your ears.
Yes. Aloha.
That's such a lovely note to finish on. So loving ourselves and appreciating our bodies and everything. So
your body will change.
There's a person coming in now, a bit late, but anyway, I just let them in. No, thanks for that, Andrea, and thanks everyone for your contributions. And I loved it as usual. I was a bit tired before, and as soon as we went on, it was like, woohoo, let's go. So it's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to put the recording on the website, and I'm also going to put the revocation, whatever you want to call it. I call it Healing and Clearing Marbles on the website too, so you can download it from there. And I thank you very much, and we see you all again next week, Wednesday, 5 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, Martina.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.